What's good, world? It's your boy Big Jax. You are inside the locker room show. Our whole crew with us tonight. My man, 10-year NFL vet, Steve Martin's in the house. What it do, Steve?
What's good? How we doing, Jax?
Good, man. Good to see you, bro. My man, Rev. What's up with it, Rev?
It's your world. I'm just spinning in it.
Oh no, you already know you the man, no doubt. So, of course, we had to get it in tonight because it's playoff time. Of
Come
course, we
on.
talked about what happened last weekend in the first round, the wild card round of the playoffs. We got to talk about what's going to happen this weekend in the divisional round. So much to talk about there. We'll get in a little college football. That Notre Dame Ohio State game is going to be good. I can't wait to see that battle. And then, of course, we always check in on NIL because there's always something changing, somebody doing something. We got a quarterback, I understand, that's about to get like $7 million a year to go to Miami. That's crazy. So we'll talk about all that tonight here inside the locker room show. But, of course, we're going to kick it off. We're going to talk about my Kansas City Chiefs as they get ready this weekend for their battle against the Houston Texans in the divisional round of the playoffs. Of course, we know they played Houston just about a month ago. They beat them here in Kansas City 27-19. So they got some history here. I think this is going to be a whole different game. I don't think Houston's actually ready for what's going to hit them. Steve, what do you think about any concerns about whether or not the Chiefs will be ready for this game this week?
Well, it's as you say, it's one of those that I've always felt the whole season that the Chiefs were getting ready for the second season, the whole season. So this is the rubber meeting the road for the second season on how they play. I wouldn't be surprised if you see the Chiefs start winning like we think they can. 21 points or better, defensive shutouts. That's what I'm looking forward to because they literally held all their best everything till now. And now they know how to hit that stride and say, this is when we're going to turn it on. It's not that they were holding back all season by no means. But there is that extra oomph that happens in the playoffs. And like I said, and we saw it this weekend, these playoff games were tough.
Yeah.
I could feel it like, you're going to have to, and they all did old school, which I'm really, it's kind of an honor to the game in my book. They said, we're going to establish the run. And if you can't stop it, we're going to keep doing it.
Right.
And that's how everybody that won, that's what they did. They
Yeah.
established the run. If you can't stop it, we're going to keep doing it until you do. And then they sprinkled in the passes as needed. The defenses were flying around. Backers was flying. The lineman was flying. It was scary, boy. I was scared for some of the cats. You walk into that hole too soft, you're going to get your head ripped off. And that's playoffs. And, people don't understand it. It's two separate seasons. And I think this is the best time of the year for the Chiefs because they literally said, we're going to be ready for the second season, week one. And they are.
Yeah.
Brad, what do you think?
This tournament is what it is, and it's hey, one and done. That's why you're getting the best from everybody.
Right.
Uh, when I think of the Chiefs playing the Texans, at least they're not playing the Ravens. Okay. Uh, the the reality is right now that yeah, you got C.J. Stroud. He's found his collective quarterback legs, and and the Texans look like a winning football club. Which, hey, that's the expectation for a club in the tournament. However, what we're seeing from the Ravens is King Henry is playing the game, and not just playing the game, but taking it over. So I'm excited that we play the Texans first, and we get to see whether or not the Bills survive. I don't know if the Bills survive this weekend, and the reason is because Derrick Henry looks like the old Derrick Henry of old.
Hey,
And what that means, that's a that when I think of 6'2", 240 pounds that could run a 4.4, that's a freight train coming right at you. And it doesn't bode well for secondary. It doesn't bode well for your linebackers because he's as big as your linebackers. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Andy has in the coffers. Andy's got something, and I agree with Steve. I don't believe we have seen the Chiefs play a four-quarter ball game yet. And when they do, it could very well blow the doors off everybody. Now, Patrick and Kelsey and the rest of those guys on offense, they're they're going to be a finely tuned machine. What will make it even more overpowering is when the Chiefs defense. And I'm a you got to love that defensive line. When that defensive line gets into it, uh, it it's a wrap. Okay, and so Chris Jones, uh, get your Gates barbecue sauce ready. Throw a little ham bone on there, and I think what you're going to see is you're going to see some real good Chiefs football this weekend.
And I want to add one more thing to that. The thing about the people that needed the rest was the defense, because the defense has been carrying the team the whole season. And it's not to say that Patrick and the guys hadn't been producing. They hadn't been producing like they have historically. But the
Right.
defense has always kept us in the game and found a way to get a turnover at the right time, block the kick, whatever. The defense has found a way to make things happen. So them having fresher legs, and then having that second season mindset, that's what I think is nobody else has it. The Chiefs got it because they knew what they did to get to the Super Bowl last year, and they said, we got to make sure we're ready come postseason, and I
That's right.
truly think they will be. And it's nothing against Texans. The great thing about the playoffs is you find out who you are in the playoffs, and a lot of teams don't know who they are until they're in the playoffs, and then they
Right.
find their identity. That's what Detroit did last year. They found out who they truly were in the playoffs, and that's what the Texans are just now discovering. It might be too late because Chiefs know who they are.
yeah, and that's a real interesting subject there to kind of go back to what happened this past weekend. When you talk about finding out who you are, the team that Houston played against in the Chargers, did we really find out who Herbert is? Like, is he not really the dude that we think he is? Or did they just have a bad day? I know that the Texans have an incredible pass rush. I know they play some really good defense, and there's no doubt about that. They got a solid defense, but I thought Herbert looked absolutely terrible. In the biggest moment, as did the dude up in Minnesota, Darnold. I
Yeah.
mean, I thought he really got exposed to being a very quarterback.
So that's an
Not
excellent point.
but I thought he was
Because,
very much exposed to being average.
well, see, I'm not going to say that about Darnold. So to talk about Herbert,
Okay.
Herbert realized he ain't ready. He's not ready for postseason. He got to go get ready. And so trust and believe, because everything was coming at him so fast, he wasn't ready. And so he looked like he wasn't ready.
Now
With
I'm going to take the opposite position.
Mm.
What I saw out of Herbert was a bunch of balls that were tipped by the wide receivers. Okay, he was hitting them in the hands and they weren't catching them. What I saw with Darnold was that he didn't know when to release the football. He was holding on to it. He took what, 315 sacks in that game? I mean, every time he dropped back, people are
well,
saying, "Get rid of the ball! Get
He got
rid of the
well,
nine,
yeah,
ball!"
he's
they got
trying to get rid of the
nine
ball, but
sacks on him.
they molested and raped Jefferson, so Jefferson wasn't going to get anything. And when Jefferson's shut down, he doesn't have anywhere to go. But I'm going to say this:
Welcome to the league. They're
at
going to take
Darnold, though,
away.
remember LA's first game? They did the same thing to him.
Yeah.
So LA, I think what just happened is they discovered that that they are very vulnerable.
Yeah. You know, as I was watching that Chargers game with Texas, I almost felt sorry for Herbert because of the fact that those were all tip balls that were going as interceptions. You go back and look at the film, every time he was hitting them in the hands. Now, are they perfect? This is the NFL. You want a perfect ball? Go to practice.
Right.
You want to catch a football, sit in the game and concentrate and catch a football. There are no perfect, throws. Uh, And I say that facetiously because by the time I'm watching the Vikings game, I'm watching a guy that's had 14 wins, not knowing when to release. There's something going on there. That's a head issue
Yes.
where you can no longer make a good decision. You have something has happened where now you are questioning every bit of your instincts. And in the playoffs, you can't do that.
Right.
Whereas Herbert was hitting guys in the hands and they was just bouncing off and going right into the safeties, cornerback. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, if they're going to blame Herbert for this game, they got to blame the wide receivers for all those tip passes because every one of them, you look, every one of those interceptions was a
Well,
tip
the
pass.
point I was the point I was working at is with Sam Darnold. I think the Rams have his number, just like people think that the Bengals have the Chiefs number. You know, when
Sure.
they get your number, they just got your number, and that's
Right.
just a game you don't want to play. When I was in Indy, Indy had the Chiefs number, so it didn't really matter when we played them. The Chiefs couldn't beat us. And that's a rare thing to get. And when you get it, you got to hold on to it for as long as you can. So that's what I think happened mainly with Sam Darnold. And you take away Jefferson, it really kind of proves he doesn't have anywhere else to go because he doesn't know how to go through it yet. He doesn't know how to cycle through and start off, okay, I'm going to have Jefferson this play. Let me start with somebody else. Let me start with the tight end. Let me start with he can dump out of the backfield. He's good at that. But it's fine.
Yeah.
It's starting out with another receiver rather than trying to start out with Jefferson all the time. And then who was we talking about? The other team. Oh, Chargers. And I agree. Yes, he was hitting the ball right where it needed to be hit, but it's who he needs to hit. That's where I'm saying that he's not mature enough in my book. He's good. And keep in mind, Harbaugh just got him this year. So it's not like
Right.
Harbaugh's had him for 4 or 5 years and has been
No.
building him
Right.
up. He's just got him this year. So
Yeah.
I'm very confident next year he's going to be far more resolute than he was this season because he was just accepting what Harbaugh was teaching. But it's one of those you gotta have that time and that maturation period with the quarterback. So you really do become the guy that the court is, because the quarterback is just a reflection of whatever the OC's calling. And if he doesn't feel and understand that right out the gate, they had a great year. They got nothing to complain about because they were in the toilet last year, and Harbaugh brought them to a winning season. So that's commendable on them. They just need another year maturation. So
That's right.
Well, and that's probably why it to me makes what the Daniels kid out there in DC did even that much more remarkable, because as a rookie, to watch him in those critical situations stand and deliver and put his team
he's
in a
not even
position to
supposed to
beat.
be on. He's not supposed to be there.
Right.
Everything about it, he's not supposed to be there. He's not supposed to be performing like that. He's not supposed to be a threat. He's not supposed to be the guy that digs him out of the hole. He's not supposed to be doing any of the shit he's doing. So
Right.
yes, he is beyond remarkable. That kid is playing unbelievable. And the Redskins better find every single way to make sure he's comfortable, he's happy with his coaches, he's happy with everything, because that kid is phenomenal. He would, I could see him passing Mahomes if he can play 5 or 6 more years than Mahomes, because he's that good. That kid is a phenomenal player.
What do
And
you
in
think
Green
about
Bay
it,
got
Brad?
posted too.
I just hope they don't RG3 him.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
Yeah.
the reality is there's a lot of talent that comes into the NFL, and they there's a lot of substitution of activity for achievement, and when that happens, they will put you in injured and pray you don't get more injured. And that's I mean that's why RG3 is 30 years old, doing play by play.
Out of the league.
The fact of the matter is that they got to protect some of these kids. And listen, Jaden ain't one of those thick bodied
No,
Doug Williams type quarterbacks.
he's not
He
even
he's
Lamar.
he reminds me of Manziel for
Mm.
some reason.
Well, he's
Uh,
got to go. He's got to go sleep with a cheesecake on his chest and hope it absorbs, because that kid needs to
you
get.
know that's right.
He's got to get.
You know that's right.
Better put a brick in his pocket.
Yeah. So, hey, because I'm telling you, I saw it this weekend. Them linebackers come across the middle, throw that ball, throw
Yeah,
it,
get
because
rid of it.
they in the middle head hunting, and it's like, we don't give a damn about a fine today. This is playoffs.
Right.
You gonna earn that shit.
You gonna earn
And
that.
so yeah,
Yeah.
it's
And then of course Buffalo and the absolute destruction that they unleashed on Denver was just. I mean, I
see,
thought Bo Nix was trying hard. Another rookie, but he looked like a rookie when it was all said and done.
man, they was good until they kicked the ball and it hit that ding.
Doing.
When you hear the words "act like you've been there before" and you haven't,
Right.
Uh-huh.
that's what Denver was
Yeah.
this
But
weekend.
I'm telling you, that's that mojo, because they lost to the Chiefs on that doing, and then they went downhill on the doing against Buffalo.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah,
just mojo working in there against them. And take no take nothing from Buffalo, but it's just seemed like that's one of, look, the Chiefs are definitely riding on some spiritual wealth. They got some, they either working with a shaman or the preacher or something. They're working with somebody, because they getting help from the other side. so so it's not to say that Denver isn't cursed from the other side. So to me, that Denver was looking real good before that doing. They really were. And then Buffalo put hands on them, just like, whew, it was bad. It was
Smacked them
bad.
around. And then of course we know Philly got a win from Green Bay. I never thought Green Bay was that good anyway. Personally, I just
I think they
didn't
are.
believe it.
I think the
I
Green
think
Bay's
they're
good.
okay.
It's the Philly's too good.
Philly's
Philly
very
got
good.
weapons. Philly
Yeah,
came out and said, we should run Savon, and we gonna run them.
yeah,
You better stop them. If you don't stop them, we gonna keep running them.
yeah. No doubt,
That's
no
it.
doubt. So that
They
all
were,
sets up for this weekend. Of course, we know the Chiefs play the first game on Saturday here at Arrow, and then Saturday night will be Washington and Detroit, I can't good game. I think we'll see what Detroit really has. We'll see if Daniels can take advantage of all those injuries that Detroit has on defense. And then, of course, on Sunday, you got the Rams going to Philly. That's your game at 2. And then Buffalo, Baltimore, the game of the week. Everybody's looking forward to. I'm glad they're playing each other, and one of them we
thank
don't
God.
have to worry about.
I ain't gonna tell no lies. It's and that was the thing I meant to say about Baltimore. They've been sitting on King Henry all season. People
Yeah.
were saying, "Why don't you run him more?" That's because they were saving him for now, and they showed it. They ran King Henry and said, "Stop him." And
Yeah.
then when they could, if you couldn't stop King Henry, then Lamar's getting the ball. He gonna run it.
Yeah.
They just ran the ball until you showed you could stop it, and then they ran a play action right behind it. Then what you gonna do?
Yeah, that's got to be one of the scariest looking things in the
It is.
NFL right now. Is
It
when
is.
Lamar play fakes to King Henry, and then tucks that ball behind his hip and comes out the backside, coming out the other way.
Shit, the fucking
Woo,
the
man.
RPO that he runs with Henry on the front side on a power. He fakes that front side power, and if he dumps that shit to the tight end,
Yeah.
he's playing the backer,
With the
and the
flick of the
backer got
wrist.
That's
to
right.
the backer got to commit, because if he don't
Got
commit,
to.
then he's gonna get King Henry in the mouth.
Yeah.
So
Got
it's one of those. If he don't commit, then King Henry's running downhill. He commits. He's throwing the tight end right over top.
Yeah.
And that's a scary, scary scenario. I would hate to. You got to blitz him, and you got to play a tight man coverage in order to stop that RPO. And they ain't even ran it yet. So
Yeah, that's the one thing I'm looking forward to with the Chiefs coming this weekend. I think a huge advantage they have going into this game is the amount of rest that they got and how healthy they are. Jalen Watson's back. Everybody else has been off for 20 more days, getting ready to play this game. I think that if they can play the type of defense that we know they can play, I don't see any way this Houston team with basically one receiver and
well, I give their quarterback a lot of credit, because he can play with more than just one receiver. He can get the ball moved around. The biggest thing for them has got to be their defense. Their defense has to get home on something. And the thing, if they don't get home on anything, then Mahomes is gonna do what Mahomes does, and that's in the clutch. He's gonna whoop you, and he's gonna whoop you bad. So they got to get home on defense, and somehow they got to lock down somebody in coverage. Good luck. Pick your poison, because he got 5 weapons to throw to. So
well, as much as their pass rush is getting it as being the best or one of the best in the league, we got to remember that a month ago when they played the Chiefs, they only got to Pat one time in that game,
Right.
and that's with Tooney at tackle. So I mean, if they're able to keep, and of course, but that also was the first game Hollywood was back. That's the game where Patrick Mahomes, his rate of how fast he's getting the ball, he was getting the ball out of his hands, was the fastest in the NFL. So there are a lot of things that this Chiefs team, like you said, have been preparing for these getting ready and getting ready. So I think they're going to unleash something that these teams honestly aren't even prepared for yet. And I just don't think
yeah,
everybody's
that's
saying the
what I'm
Chiefs offense is
anticipating.
no good. This offense is going to come alive in the playoff.
I honestly feel like that's been the sleeping part of what Reed's put together, is that they've been working on mastery on certain sequences of plays, who's going to get the ball and how they're going to get it to them. And that's what they've done notoriously over playoffs. Is they hit they hit Rice last year, and all of a sudden, like, man, Rice is a good player, and then they go to back to Kelsey, and it's like, yeah, that's the Kelsey we know, and then they sprinkle in guys here and there that make 1 or 2 catches, and they're big catches though. What's the name? JJ, that caught the one against Baltimore. He was falling backwards and caught the ball. They just do that, and they're literally trying to keep the defense guessing on who they need to double team to make sure that they're out of the play. And as soon as they get that double team, they're hitting the guy that's single or
Right.
that's uncovered. They hit them, and then they try to mess you up on who they're going to, which series they're going to. So I really think I'm praying that all of them present premonition, because I want the Chiefs to win. I want to see a three-peat. I
No doubt.
never seen a three-peat, and that's my crew. So
Yeah.
I wish everybody well. When don't, but the Texans, he's got a lot to grow.
DJ Stroud.
Yeah, Stroud. He's got a lot to grow. He's got a lot of room to do it. He's got tools, but I don't think he's ready for somebody that's been here 5 times now. I don't think he's ready for that.
15
But you never know.
Right.
You never know. It's playoffs. You don't ever write anybody off. And the
No.
biggest thing the Chiefs could beat themselves if they look past the Texans. Got to respect every opponent. Don't ever look past nobody.
Yeah, that doesn't seem to be in Andy or Pat or this team's makeup. They seem to come out and they're taking care of business. They're very serious right now. You can feel it. This three-peat means something to them. So we'll be looking forward to that. As far as I'm definitely taking the Chiefs there. I think we kind of established, Rev. You believe Baltimore is going to beat Buffalo this weekend. I think that
I do. You cannot stop the king.
yeah. That's gonna be tough. Jared Allen's rough though. With Diggs or no, what's his name back there at the running back? They've got a decent run game themselves.
It's
And
the only way that you can erase home field advantage is having a running game and to be able to stop the run.
yeah, yeah,
It erases and makes everything uh, the same, even Stevens.
even
And it's a little different when you're in Buffalo because Buffalo's going to have snow. It's going to have weather. Now, best part about Baltimore is they got weather too. So this isn't like, you're playing Miami or Miami's coming up to play you in the middle of winter.
Mm-hmm.
The fact of the matter is they're coming up and they are bringing a freight
cooked.
train for a running game.
It's old school, man. I promise you. We played Pittsburgh when they had Bettis. I think Neil O'Donnell threw for 8 yards because Bettis ran for 170. They
Right,
ran his tongue out because we couldn't stop him. We couldn't
right,
stop
Right.
him, and
right.
it's just what it is. If you can't stop the run,
It's
you're done.
demoralizing. It hurts.
Oh,
It hurts your feelings.
dude, you're out there for 18 plays and you're exhausted, and
Right.
you're taking on double team, double team, double team, triple team, double team, double team. Man, you get exhausted. I've
And
been there,
frustrated.
And
been there,
And
frustrated.
done that.
once you're exhausted, you get frustrated.
Yeah,
Yes. Then you start fighting,
yeah,
and that start
That's
getting
when the
penalties.
penalties come.
Yep,
yeah, yeah.
it's a beast. So, like I said, I don't want to play Baltimore, but I'd rather play Baltimore than Buffalo because I got to give nothing but credit to Allen. He is Superman. He is flat out Superman. Some of them throws he did last week, whew, oh
Yeah.
my goodness, that man. I don't want no parts of him. I don't think he got our number, but I don't want no part of him if we ain't got to deal with it. And I think we can shut down King Henry just because I think our front four is better than their front five. So
Yeah.
because we
I
can,
like the matchup of the Chiefs and the Ravens versus the Chiefs and the Bills.
because and the
I
only thing I
agree.
say with the Bills is that we don't have an answer for Josh Allen. We do not have an answer. I wish we did. We don't. I think for um, Lamar, I think we got the way he mass cover two and mass cover three. Um, that mass war took that element of Lamar's game out, and then when they needed it, he didn't have it. Now I think he's better than he was last year, but he got King Henry.
Yeah.
So I don't think he has to be. He really got better because he didn't have to be. You know, and stopping the run is going to be hard because King Henry's a monster to
Yeah.
take down.
It is.
So there's no good side of Buffalo or Baltimore. The only thing you can hope that they hurt each other. so
Right.
so they're good banged up by the time they come to us.
That's actually something that I noticed in the Baltimore game. And the sideline reporter actually pointed it out during the game that Lamar had been in and out of the medical tent on several occasions throughout the game in between possessions. And then when I'm watching him play and I see him runs and run that ball, and then he gets back kind of in his back. That's what they said that they thought he was working on, and you could see him like he was wincing a little bit. He had to bend over and take kind of grab his shorts like like you do in basketball. Like he had to take a second, and that right there said, okay, there's a possibility that if you hit him hard enough, you can affect his play a little bit. But then number two thing that I saw with Lamar that was very interesting, especially because his reputation has been that he has not been the best mentally in these playoffs. He's not always the sharp. He doesn't play his best game in the playoffs. But during that game, the crowd is chanting MV3. Baltimore has the ball. He's out there calling the play. Turns around, and the announcers anyway said, "Well, he's probably thinking, well, we don't need that kind of talk right now. We're in the middle of this game." Either way it goes, they weren't that loud to me, and he should not have even paid any attention to that at all. And so I think with Lamar, if you can find a way to frustrate him, you can
But
get him out of the game a little bit because
that's
sometimes,
what Spags does the best. Is Spags rolls three, rolls two, and masks man. And when he tries to do a hot read, Spags has him on his toes, and that messed him up. And the reason they talk that why they say he doesn't stay strong in the postseason is because he don't go against Spags until then.
yeah,
And this is where again where I applaud Spags for being a great D coordinator because he knows how to roll his talent where he needs them, and he's able to frustrate Lamar in such a way. But I think that's a combination of Chris Jones and the pressure that they get. They know where he's going to go, and they know how he's going to try to get there, and they try to mess that up every way they can. And this is Kansas City's got the best defense. People say what they want to say. They're the best defense because they're 15-1. Well, 15-2, 15-1 for what it's worth, and they find a way to win. So yeah, like I said, I'm I'm not as afraid of Lamar as I am of Allen, to
mm,
be honest, because Allen is he's not he don't just win with his feet. It's the way he just finds a way out of no way, and he's really good at it. And not that Lamar isn't. I mean, in my opinion, these are the best three quarterbacks in the NFL.
right.
Nothing against the Love and Hurts and those guys. Those guys are good, but
Yep.
these three guys, if one of them was over in the NFC, that was who'd be the Super Bowl champion or the NFC champ every year.
Yeah.
Because these guys, we got to take one of our guys out, and then once whoever wins between our three, that's probably going to be the Super Bowl champ.
Well, and
Because
you mentioned Hurts right there. Philly has the Rams coming to them on Sunday. Uh, of course, we know the Rams. Something about Stafford keeps that team. He's a vet. He's efficient. He's not some game breaker, but he's going to keep you in position. And I think sometimes Philly, we talk about the mentality. What's his name? AJ Brown over on the sideline reading a book. I've never seen that before in the NFL. On the side,
better than watching a movie.
reading.
So
You seen him watch a movie?
no,
Jeez,
I'm saying it's better that he's reading a book
I
rather than
got you.
watching a movie.
I thought that was really interesting. I don't know that again, those type of things to me, that's weird. Like that speaks about something about your mentality. Even if that book is inspiring you in some sort of way, you still have to have it on the sideline. Like, come on.
Look, you want to find out how weird some guys are? Listen to some of the music they listen to. That'll shock the shit out of you. Because you get in other people's headphones and you be like, you listen to this before a game?
Wow.
And it's pretty weird. So reading a book before a game, it's weird. But as long as he goes out and
Even
makes it,
during the game.
During the
yeah,
game. On the
yeah.
side.
Yeah.
What?
I mean, there's a lot of weird shit. You got to be a special cat to be in the NFL in the first place. And whatever made you special, if reading during a game is what you do, I mean, it's the first time he's done it. He's been in the league, what, 10, 11 years?
Yeah.
Or at least it's the first time they showcased him doing it.
They caught him doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure if they had seen him on doing it before, they would have
They
showed.
used to catch Mike Zimmer with with sunflower seed bag and red man inside the bag.
Well, what about Barry Sanders, who slept on the side when he's on
Right.
the bench when the defense was out there? He go to sleep.
Take a
He
little
just
nap.
flat out go to sleep and then wake up and come run 150 yards on you. That was weird, but he did
Yeah.
it. So yeah, everybody's got their own thing and whatever makes you work. But I say to you in a heartbeat that they got Saquon Barkley,
Right.
and if you can't stop him, you're done.
You got a problem.
Right.
Just go ahead and fix it. Just go ahead and pack your shit, plan your trip for Boca, because your ass ain't going to New Orleans unless you visiting, unless you buying tickets.
That's right.
Because
You can go ahead and go
Saquon
to the Pro Bowl.
Saquon is a monster,
Yeah, he
and
is.
he is every bit a monster as is King Henry,
Yeah.
and that's what's going to. My man said it best. It don't matter if if Hurts throws for 300 yards. It doesn't matter. If Saquon runs for 256, they're going to win.
Right.
Period. He ain't got to throw but 3 plays, and that's just what it is. Again, this is playoffs. This is not apologizing for my statistic. This is not apologizing for anything. This is finding a way to win the simplest way you can, and the fewer times you put the ball in the air, the less likely it is to be turned over. So give it to your big back and run his ass off. That's what you do. It's real. It's the simplest part of the game, and
That's
especially
what you're paying him for.
if you get climate, you really don't want to throw the ball because receivers are real sensitive. So
Yeah, yeah.
that's what it is. You give it to that back who's used to getting pounded. And like I said, though, these jokers in the playoffs, them linebackers are flying. I ain't never seen a playoff game where the linebackers was staying on their feet and hitting people. They was always leaving their feet and laying out. And if you got defensive ends laying out, you in real trouble because that's a team that don't give a shit. They're gonna win, and they don't give a damn what happens. They hurt everybody. They don't care because it's about the legacy. So yeah, I'm excited. This is the best time of football. Is this time?
Yeah. And like I said earlier, it'll be interesting to see what Jaden Daniels is able to do up there in Detroit. I mean, that Detroit offense is so potent. But
They're
Daniels
hurt.
been able to make plays on so many occasions, man. It'll be real good to see. What do you think, Rev? Does Detroit have enough to be able to just make the stop on that?
We're about to find out. They've had a lot of injuries on the defensive side of the ball. It started with Aiden Hutchinson, and they've lost almost their starting 11,
Yeah.
and
I think it's
uh,
13 players on defense on
that's
IR.
right. I think the biggest you know pat on the back you can give Dan Campbell and Aaron Glenn is the fact that they've kept it together. They've actually succeeded, which means that there's going to be guys that, you know, uh, they used to say you can't lose your job if you're injured. There's some people going to lose their job because they're injured, and these guys have collectively put it together. Hey, they're making a run for the Super Bowl, and uh, I'm I'm one of these guys that I'd have never thought that the Detroit Lions would ever make a Super Bowl. So I'm not running out to buy any Honolulu Blue yet, but I do know that these guys are they're getting ready to they're making their run, and they're prepared for it, and they've overcome the injuries. Which what else can you overcome in a football season? If you can overcome the injuries and you're still in a position to be successful, there's some things about to happen.
And
Absolutely.
that's the thing. They got the 1-2 piece coming out of the backfield again.
Yeah.
Solid running game.
Yep.
That's a
And the
two piece of.
passing game isn't bad either.
No,
Well,
it's
that's the
not.
thing is that, but it's built on the run game. Those, and I'm
Right.
not saying the receivers are bad. I mean, the coordinator, he's gone. He should be a head coach somewhere. I think he's a fantastic coordinator. Unbelievable. He's because the way he calls
You
plays.
talking about Johnson or you talking
Yeah,
about
Johnson.
Cleary? Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I
He's
think they're both gone, gentlemen.
yeah.
Uh,
I think
I heard
he's
Johnson probably going to end up in Las Vegas. That Brady's
Very
that
well
Brady's
could.
ma- that Brady's making the push for him out there.
that be whoever gets him. That son of a bitch is a genius because he calls plays. His play actions are so unbelievably perfectly timed, and they coordinate with the run game, and the zone plays are just ferocious. How do you? I mean, they got a great line too, so that doesn't hurt. But for them to have two backs that are as impactful as they are, uh, they they're just that's what makes them lethal because they
Yeah,
can do the old school, and their best defense is their offense just sucking up the clock, and that really hurts when you got an offense that can sit out there for 9-10 minutes and just evaporate the clock. They can do that, and they're a tough nosed team. So, some real exciting games. I promise you that they ain't let
Absolutely.
us down yet.
Well, I'll tell you what, that's wild card weekend and divisional round weekend. That's the NFL, man. That's why the NFL is king. Do you hear me? They are king because the level of entertainment that these games are going to bring, I would say, I mean, they got for them, and of course, we'll be heavy on those Chiefs. See what happens with them. Of course, we'll also over the weekend get to check out some national championship level college football as Ohio State and Notre Dame will go at it. Uh, for me, this playoffs has been pretty much everything I wanted it to be. The idea of this 12-team playoff, you end up with the number 5 and number 16 as they were ranked at the end of the season going into this deal, which means if you only had the top 4 teams, neither one of these teams would even be in the discussion.
right.
And so for me, this is why you go to 12, and why honestly they probably should go ahead and go to 16 sometime soon. What do you think about this Notre Dame Ohio State game and how that's going to play out?
Well, first off, in the first round of the playoffs stunk because a lot of people just got Peter rolled, but their records gave them a shot. So that's what you want is for them to at least have a shot. But then the cream started rising to the top as they continue to play, and I don't know how many years I went and everybody hated Notre Dame because they don't have a conference. They don't have to play a conference champion. They pocket all the dough. They said this is the championship game is going to bring 20 million to the winning school, and every other conference has to split that up amongst their conference. Notre Dame just pockets it all and puts them as more of a financial powerhouse than anybody else. But that's how the shit is, and the bottom line is they had to earn it. They didn't lose. They had to beat some good teams in order to get here. So I'm down for a bigger playoff bracket just so you can filter those teams out. Um, the hard part is they get the chance. I feel like the one play with Arizona State was kind of bullshit. I think they were playing Texas when they didn't get the targeting call.
Right.
I think that's the only play I could say over the whole playoffs that was just absolutely trash. Other than that, everybody had a fair shot to win. And they were very, very, very intense games. Those guys were playing like they're in the NFL. They're trying to rip each other's head off. So that's what you want to watch it for. So Notre Dame versus Ohio State, I don't have a favorite because I don't like either one of them.
Mm.
they're not
Going to be a
SEC.
little history, gentlemen.
What's that?
Marcus Freeman,
Played for Ohio State and
not
coaches in.
only that, but is the first black coach in a national championship game.
Well, that's true.
Secondly, Ryan Day, who has been, I mean, for the last 2 or 3 years, every time he loses a big game, he's getting fired that week.
Right.
So he has saved his job for at least another week. Now, because it's Ohio State, you've got the best athletes.
Yeah.
And because it's Notre Dame, you have the best team. So
Mm,
we're about to find out if the best athletes beat the best team or if it's the best team beating the best athletes. I like Marcus Freeman. I think that Notre Dame has found something there with this young man. And not only is he a young coach, but he's articulate, he's bright. I believe that he has, in many cases, when we've watched Notre Dame play this year, he doesn't sweat the small stuff, and he is continuously leading. And you
mm,
know, white, black, red, yellow, green doesn't matter. Throw all that out the window. What you follow is leadership. That's what men follow. And I think that's what they're going to follow in the national championship. I'm not taking any credit away from Ryan Day. He's been there before. But I think this is Marcus Freeman's dance. And when the smoke clears, I think you're going to see Freeman and the and it pains me to say it because I'm no Notre Dame fan, and the Golden Domers hosting the national championship trophy. And to their credit, because I think in many cases, what we're seeing is uh, the more things change, the more they stay the same. I don't know about you, Jax, or you, Steve, but Notre Dame playing Ohio State in the national championship, I'm 11 years old again.
mm. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I
it
can,
also bodes well for the fact that we finally got Oregon out of there, who I've been hating on all year. So
and I think that's probably the best part about it is that both teams earned it, regardless of.
that's right.
Notre Dame trashed one to NIU, and everybody's like, "Oh, Notre Dame is this, Notre Dame is that." They've said we're not losing another game, and they did not. So
Right.
you can at least have one really bad game and still resurrect yourself through this, which is another proof of it. And you don't have to be the top four. You just got to get to the show. And
Yeah.
once you get
That's
to the
right.
show, it's on you.
On
Talk
you.
all that shit you want to talk. Say whatever you want to say. Oh, we this, oh, we that. If it wasn't for this, if it wasn't for that, look, you get to the playoffs and you get a chance to win, you got to win.
Take
And that's just
advantage
what
of it.
it's
It is
just like,
better in the NCAAs to lose early in the season than to lose late.
yeah, agreed.
Absolutely. No
But
question.
that's the other thing with the NCAA is that when you're losing late in the season, that's conference games, and so yeah, lose to NIU, lose to teams that aren't ranked week one, week two, because whatever your conference is, you got a conference championship
Yeah, you got to win that.
unless you're Notre Dame,
Unless you're
and
Notre Dame. Well, and
unless
That's right.
something that real interesting that you said, Rev, is these Ohio State athletes versus this Notre Dame team, and I think that is going to be really the do the talent that a program like Ohio State has been building and has had for so many years in a row. How does that compare to the type of talent that Notre Dame will be able to get now later on? But perhaps right now, as they're in this building stage, they probably don't have that same level of talent as far as these individual athletes is concerned. And so I think that's going to be real test for them. I just found out not too long ago about the history of the Fighting Irish and the fact that name came about because they were a group of Irish Catholic kids that back in the day had to fight against the Ku Klux Klan in the state of Indiana, and that's how they actually came up with the name the Fighting Irish.
That's
And
right.
for me to see them have the first black coach in the national championship game, and to see the way that Freeman carries himself and all that. I can't help it. I'm going to definitely be rooting for him. I'm sorry, I can't help
I'll root for him too, just because of that too. But
it.
I'm feeling different on both of them, just to be real.
Yeah, I mean, but I'm glad that we end up with this. I hope it's a good game, and I hope that because one of the criticisms, and Steve, you mentioned it too, the first round and all those teams getting mollywopped. But as I look back on this first round of the NFL's division of the wild card games,
Same
uh,
thing.
you talking about Houston with a 20-point win. You talking about Baltimore won by 14. Buffalo won by 22. Philly only won by 12. The Rams beat the Minnesota by what's that, 18, 17 points. Like there were a lot of virtual blowouts in this first round of the NFL. So to me, that's kind of part of the deal. The lower seeds aren't going to be as good as the top seeds, and that's going to happen. But I hope that they don't decide to, start to say that the SEC and the Big Ten both get 4 teams in automatically and all that old garbage in order to find a way to try to eliminate the blowouts in the early rounds.
Well,
Let it be. Let it be. Let it
I
play out.
think what's got to happen is that strength of schedule's got to become more of a factor. So 10-1 in the Big 12 is not going to be 10-1 in the SEC, and I think that's what they got to weigh more when they look at strength of schedule. Unless you've got 5 or 6 teams that are high ranked in the Big 12, then that
Right.
changes the factor. But what I really think Arizona State would have been the upset everybody wanted to see. Because I always put everybody. I'm an underdog guy because I was always the underdog. So I was pushing for Boise State and I was pushing for Arizona State to win one, to just prove that they belong. Because that's all you really want to do at the end of the day is prove I'm worthy. And I think Arizona State proved they were worthy. It was one play. But the reality of life is sometimes it is one play that you get a bad call on. That's life.
That's real.
And when you get that bad call, what do you do?
How do
Do
you
you go
handle?
in the
Right.
corner and cry, or do you say, I'm coming back stronger than ever? So hopefully Arizona takes that loss and goes and retools and says, we're going to be there and we're not going to let one play stop us next time.
Yeah.
And that's what you want to see. That's what all the fans want to see is the underdog, one, get the chance, and two, rise to the occasion. And I really, really, really believe Arizona State, when I tell you they fought their soul, what's that runner, Alan Pachuco, the running back for Arizona State? That son of a bitch played his
Scatabo.
Scattaboo.
Yeah.
He played his ass off. When I tell you, like, I'm D line and I'm looking at this kid like he didn't bring nothing back to the locker room. It was on the field,
Yeah.
and you could see it. He left it on the field, and that's what you want to see. Because when you give your all to anything, and then you come up short, man, that's you don't get any more pain than that. Because you just suffered all the pain to try to get it, and then you miss it by one thing. Man, that's devastating. But what kind of character do you have on the other side of that? What kind of man is he going to be, regardless of whether he carries on his career? He's going to be phenomenal in whatever he chooses because he learned how to give it all he had, leave it on the field, and then recover from it. He ain't recovered yet because I don't know how he feels, but hopefully he recovers from it and takes it on to the NFL and says, you know what, I lost this shit in college. I ain't gonna lose it in the pros.
Right.
And he may come in and set the NFL on fire. So it's all we want out of sports. We want that type of perseverance through whatever adversity you go through. And it was just, I was honored to watch it and see that kid give it all he got because I know what it feels like. So
Well, and one other I think interesting piece that I've been watching in this situation is the quarterback at Ohio State, obviously Will Howard, having come from K State. The the portal and the NIL, and of course we're going to get on a little NIL talk as well. But he's a great example of today's college football. You're talking about a starting quarterback at a Power 5 program that moves to a different Power 5 program to get even more money and more recognition. And now he's in the national championship game, and it's paying off for him. I think that's a very incredible story for him. I think that's something to really check out. Again, like I said, NIL, you talk about quarterbacks and NIL. This week, there was news of the quarterback that's going to Miami. This kid is going down there. They said he's Carson Beck. He's supposed to be getting like $7 million a year as the Miami quarterback for next year. Like, this money is getting very unreal. That's incredible to me. And that what it really tells me is how much money these guys were taking for all these years, man. All these years, these guys were taking that money home with them.
Well, he
I wish
better
I
get a
did.
big U-Haul.
What'd you say, bro?
He better get a big U-Haul
Yeah,
because I don't think he could do it with just one of them little short ones. Not with $7.5 million as he's heading down there. I got to tell you, the only guy that's probably sighing relief is Uncle Luke. Because everybody in Miami was on a payroll. When Uncle Luke from Two Live Crew was running around there, and
absolutely.
Uncle Luke's getting a little long in the tooth, and I don't know if he's willing to cut out some bread like 7.5 million. But with NIL, now he's got a helper.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
this is where the Miamis of the world, we're going to see a resurgence.
yeah,
We're going to see, the Alabamas, the Georgias, all the teams that have been left out of the Natty this year. Right now, they're on the road, and they're collectively going around with the pass the hat,
yeah.
saying, "Do you want us in the Natty next year? Better put them millions in this coffer right here."
Better put them up.
So
And see, that's the thing is that it ain't about the boosters setting the money up. It's about Learfield and was it CFP? What's the name of the company?
CLC, yep.
CLC. They're the ones sitting on all the money. They're the ones that got all the contracts with the TV and the marketing. That's where the money's
Don't
got to
forget
come.
Vegas.
Well, we just talking about the marketing. The Vegas money,
That's right.
I'm not exactly sure how that funnels through, but I wouldn't doubt that the CLC and Learfield have a hand in it. And the reality is they just need to set shit up as a business. Quit fucking around. Quit trying to pretend like these kids are student athletes. If I'm dropping I got $7 million over my career. Kids getting it for 2 years.
Yeah.
Jesus fucking Christ. I'm sorry I don't mean to cuss like that, but it just is what it is. This is ridiculous. If he's getting that for 2 years, first and foremost, fuck the NFL. I don't want to play in the NFL. I don't want nobody beat up like that. I'm going to pocket my money. I'm going to try to win this national championship. And if I don't make it, I'm good.
I'm going back to school next year.
But I don't even need to go back to school. I got 7 point something in my pocket.
Well,
in the way we would structure it, he would get every dime. He wouldn't have to give half to Uncle Sam. He would pocket all the money, and he could use it as collateral rather than spending it and it just evaporating. He uses it as collateral and reinvest the money, and he can create his own financial engines. Again, I'm not trying to make this rocket science. Buy property, commercial or residential, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Buy it, have it paid for, and rent.
Yeah.
If that's all you do, you're beating inflation.
Yeah.
And that's all you got to do is beat inflation. You don't have to, make 70, 80% on the money. Just make 30, 40. 40%, and you're set the rest of your life.
If you can make a consistent 10 to 15, you're good.
You're fantastic. So, property's simple.
Yeah.
And people try to make it sound like it's complicated. Property is the simplest thing to invest in.
Right.
And if you got the cash, that's the thing people don't understand. When you got cash,
Yeah.
Cash is king.
That's
And all you got to do, what you have to do is you have to stay diligent on your property. If I got $7 million, I'll buy a duplex,
yeah.
$200,000, fix it up, and rent.
Yeah.
Hold on to it for 3 to 5 years, make my improvements on it, and sell it.
Yep.
Keep it simple, stupid. Invest where you are. Also, don't
Mm,
invest. The T. Rowe Price is going to come. Merrill Lynch is going to come. They're trying
right.
to get you to buy into Wall Street. To hell with that. Invest on Main Street where you are. When I'm driving and I need a car wash, man, there's no decent car wash around. Maybe I'll invest in a car wash nearby me.
Right.
Find somebody who's trying to get funding from a bank for a car wash and interview them and talk to them and ask them what they're doing. This is how you can get in investments. Buy CDs at that bank and tell that bank to invest your CDs in that car wash. You bought CDs. They're using the money to loan for the car wash.
Yeah.
So with your CDs are going to mature in 1, 2, 3, 5 years, and that way you flipped your money
Yep.
and you invested in your community.
Right.
That's the myth of Wall Street. Is if you got so much money investing in a whole bunch of corporations you know nothing about.
Right.
It's a myth. If you invest where you live, I could take you to Columbia, Missouri. Stan Kroenke and Bill Lurie, they've bought up tons of commercial property in Columbia. They own it, and all they do
Right.
is rent to themselves. They own all the commercial property. They own a ton of residential. They've overbuilt the piss out of the apartment complexes because they just got cash, but they invested where they live. Don't get me wrong; they own the Rams, they own the Diamondbacks, they own the Colorado Rockies. They own a lot of teams nationwide, but that's their play money. They invested at home,
Yeah.
and that's one of the things we teach at Simple Plays is learn how to invest in yourself.
There you
Don't
go.
stop spreading your money all around the world. That you don't know what they're doing over in Bangladesh, so don't invest there.
Right.
But you can find out what they're doing down the street. So go find out what new projects they're doing. You can buy simple bonds in your community. You can buy T bonds and SSL bonds.
Find you an
And
opportunity zone. There you go.
yeah, just jump all over what's local.
Yep.
That way you see your money and you see what it's doing. So anyway, I didn't mean to go on that spiel too long.
No, that's exactly where you were supposed to go right there, buddy. You did the right.
Oh, okay.
That's what we needed to hear. So of course, that's what we do as far as NIL simple plays. I can't wait till that thing is really, really chugging and moving. Like the difference that you're going to be able to make in the lives of these student athletes that's getting this kind of money brought to them, that's going to have this kind of money on the table. That's a beautiful thing. So that's something I think is obviously your passion project and something that I can feel the ability for me to be as a passion as well. Because I wish, God, I wish we had NIL available back then, back in the day, man. Come on, stop it.
We've been dead, Jax. That's just being real.
Hey, I
we
hope not.
we was a
Hopefully
little more,
somebody backed us up and taught us something. I'm hoping. I don't know.
bro. If I had
But
$3 million when I was 19 years old, I'd been dead.
that's why for me to try to teach somebody else right now so they don't kill
Yeah,
themselves. Hopefully they can
yeah,
benefit and family can benefit forever. So all right,
yeah.
guys, we're gonna get out of here. Like I said, can't wait for this weekend's games. 3:30 for the Chiefs against the Texans. I'll be glued in, of course, all weekend long, watching some great divisional round NFL playoff football. And then, like I said, we'll also be able to catch the national championship game next week as well. So we're gonna get out of here. Steve, what you got, buddy?
Hey, another great week of football. Can't wait to see what this next one brings up. And stay tight and stay toddy.
Yes, sir. Rev, take us out.
Victory has 1,000 fathers, but defeat is an orphan.
There it is. This
That's
has been
deep thought.
Locker Room Show. It's your boy Big Jax, 10-year vet Steve Martin, my man Rev. We are out of here. Peace.